Good evening and welcome to the Minions of the Zoo. I'm your host and keeper, the Harry Channel. And with me tonight are Minions DrFunctional, who's muted, SkepTock.
Oh, present. I didn't realize it was muted, sorry.
I did it in reverse order, sorry. That was not cool, man. Let's try it again from the top. DrFunctional.
Present.
Thank you, sir. SkepTock.
Hi, everybody.
And Serenity Star 13.
Hello.
Howdy.
You know, 2 weeks away and I already throw off the kilter of the show.
No, you're fine. Let's see. So we've got a bunch of stuff to talk about, and largely it's Functional's fault, because you sent me something in Discord saying that everything is bullshit, basically.
Yeah.
And as I was going through potential topics for the show, I thought, how about I just do a show where the main theme is that everything is bullshit? Because there's a lot of bullshit in the world. Certainly surrounding current events, like, what's been going on in the eastern part of Europe.
It's enough to throw you out of kilter, which, by the way, is a variant of the English dialectical kelter, which meant to be in good condition or good order.
Oh, okay.
So if you're out of kilter, it's they actually say out of kelter.
Well, I didn't go into Dr. Frankfurt's discussion of the essay on humbug, so at least we're not going down that road tonight, although that might be more fun. Does anybody have anything quick they'd like to unburden themselves of before I go into a little bit of a personal rant?
No, I'm good.
Go.
You good? Okay. Well, Functional, this is going to be an interactive one, largely for you and me. I've been following this guy from Stanford, Huberman. He has this thing he calls the Huberman Lab, where he gives all kinds of advice about health and stuff. And one of the things he recommends is time-restricted feeding. That the human body works better if you don't have your blood sugar be high all the time. Good for your brain, gives your body a chance to clean up. A lot of good things happen health-wise if you kind of restrict your feeding to 8 hours a day. So I've been trying to do this, and I feel a little sharper that this is good. But as 8 o'clock rolls around, I sometimes start to think, is it really such a good idea to skip dinner? And I thought to myself at about 7:15, I want a damn sandwich. I'm going to get a sandwich. I don't have a lot of time because this hard cutoff is coming. I'm just going to DoorDash it. I'm going to be that guy. I'm just going to DoorDash it. So I go on DoorDash, and I look for a place near me that is going to bring me a sandwich. Now, the sandwich, I found this place on DoorDash called The Meltdown. And I'd never heard of this place before, but it had 4.5 stars with 690 ratings on DoorDash. And so what I'm supposed to get was a turkey, bacon, tomato, provolone, sun-dried mayo, grilled sandwich on artisan bread. Okay. So I order this fucking thing, and it shows up, and I get this sad pile of meat and greasy bread with not much in the way of actual meat. And I think, what the hell just happened? Okay, so bear with me. This is a bit of a journey. So here's what you see on DoorDash. Now, when I first looked at it, it didn't say squat about Denny's. Okay, not to bury the lead, I took the address from there and I went on. This is from the webpage. On the mobile app, it doesn't say anything about Denny's. Okay, I put in the address into Google Earth and said, "Holy crap, that's Denny's! Why am I getting the sandwich from Denny's?" Yeah, I know.
Wait, what?
There's more. If you go to Yelp and you look at The Meltdown, this particular one is in San Jose. This is not my meltdown, but I was able to find this one on Yelp. You see a very different story. Instead of 4.5 stars, you see 2 stars out of 5. And you see reviews more along the lines of, this spot was on DoorDash, so I decided trying to use it. The location now that we look at it shows a Denny's building. And, honestly, one of the worst decisions of my life. I ordered the Giddy Up sandwich, which has brisket, asked for no pickles when I got my order. The left side of the sandwich was cut in half, had 0 brisket, and it was just cheese and pickles. Yeah, just absolutely terrible. And then there's Benny H, who's obviously a paid shill. just go away. And then there's a picture here. I like this one. Below are the photos of what was promised and what arrived. So here's what was promised. Okay, something like this.
Yep.
And here's here's what arrived.
That's like what you make when you have leftover pot roast the next day for like a snack at midday.
My dogs would look at that and say, I'm not that hungry.
So Skep, technically that's supposed to be burnt ends in this particular sandwich.
Oh,
Because
no.
when I think burnt
no.
ends, I think Denny's.
Right.
So,
Oh.
so what I realized is I just got catfished by Denny's.
So did this come from? This had nothing to do with Denny's, really.
It comes from a Denny's, but they have like completely different packaging. The cups that it comes in say
So
the
it
Meltdown.
does come from Denny's?
It comes from Denny's, but they've completely marketed it in a different sort of way.
They call them
on their
pop-ups.
website. I'm on their website right now.
The Meltdown?
Yeah, I'm on the Meltdown website.
Yeah, here's the Meltdown website.
Okay. Let's see.
Look at that artisan bread. Does that
I know.
Does that
It's
look like
amazing.
artisan bread to you?
It doesn't even look like bread.
It's a shingle. I think there might be an asbestos recall for that. It's like hardy board.
Yeah, it looks like the lagging that we used on the hot pipes on my ship.
Okay, so Functional figured this out already. You talked about it as a pop-up. I think you're being generous. It's not a pop-up because those are actually good. Somebody's trying to start an independent thing. They don't want to pay for the overhead. So they basically borrow a venue and they show up. This is being catfished by a restaurant. This is just BS. Let's see. I think we need the next article here. So I found this article from I think this is Sacramento, yes. And this is from a little while ago. This person says, "It's lying," said Lincoln viewer Melissa Cudney. Hi, Melissa. She ordered from a restaurant called Chicken Sammy's on DoorDash, but when the food arrived, it looked familiar. So she searched the address and found Chicken Sammy's was really a Red Robin in Lincoln. If I'd wanted to order Red Robin, I would have ordered from Red Robin. Some people call them ghost kitchens. DoorDash calls them virtual brands, saying it's a way for restaurants to reach new customers and grow sales in low-cost ways. I'm going to hand this over to Functional for a moment. I mean, you can understand the economics of it. I think you can see both sides of this particular thing. I'm curious what your thoughts are on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, from the kitchen side, it's ingenious because on these virtual platforms to order food, you now have, say, 6 options for them to order from your business on each site. That increases because, as you're scrolling, as everybody's familiar with them at this point, you're scrolling, you're like, oh, that looks good, or you want to get McDonald's? Nah, fuck McDonald's. You go down and it's like, oh, this sandwich place looks awesome, hosted by McDonald's, and it's like, well, no, you're lying. This is underhanded bullshit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you have a restaurant, all takeout is great because it's like, guess what? I don't have to pay for seats.
Especially in this economy.
I don't. It's like brick and mortar costs money. Having a place for somebody to park their ass and sit down
staff,
is
staff,
and clean up and all the stuff. It's like if I can just shove their shitty sandwich in a bag, pretend that it's from some other sandwich place, and then send it to them over. Yeah, it's awesome.
From my side, it's all the kitchen staff is there. They're working just as hard as they would if the dining room was open.
Yeah,
there's a lot, but I know for a fact there are a lot of people behind those walls that they know it's a takeout order. They'll not care. Let's put it nicely. They'll not care. They just won't care about the food. They'll slop it together. They'll throw it in the bag and get it out of there. I'm just saying, in my broad experience in multiple kitchens, there are a lot of people who will do that. I'm not saying a majority or anything, but there's more than you would think. I'm not saying, drop your steak on the floor and then serve it to you, but we'll just, haphazardly just slop things together real quick and get it out the door. So sometimes things will be undercooked or overcooked or whatever.
That I was wondering what the bacteria count would look like, what the bacteria survey would look like on that sandwich that you got. That looks like it'd been sitting out it cooling in the bacteria laden breeze for a long time.
Yeah, awash in a forest of flora. Yeah,
someone left it next to the dish pit.
So Joel is spot on. Pasquale's Pizza is actually Chuck E. Cheese. I remember looking for pizza restaurants on DoorDash because I was just curious what I could get. Mm-hmm. And I ran across this Pasquale's place, and I looked at it initially and thought, man, that's some shitty looking pizza. I mean, just sort of like the most generic sort of almost Domino's kind of thing. And then I didn't look any further. But before I put this together, I actually did look into it. Yeah, there's some Pasquale's pizzas that show up on DoorDash. They're Chuck E. Cheese.
The thing that's really sad is that there's where I used to live in Kentucky, there was a small town nearby, and there was actually a Pasquale's Pizza that was just that I've been to. Like, it's an actual pizza place. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that makes them look bad.
One of the things that I picked up on was that one of Chuck E. Cheese's Pizza Time Pizza Theater characters is Pasquale. Mm-hmm. And that's how you know you have grandkids. You take the Chuck E. Cheese's, you know the names. You know the names of the animatronic thingies. Anyway, yeah, Jasper Jowls, Mr. Munch, Pasquale, that whole thing. And Pasquale was one of the animatronic dancers. So that would be a clue into knowing where that came from, knowing that was actually Chuck E. Cheese.
A little bit of friendly advice for those who tend to use these services. What Elwin and I do when we're trying to figure out if a new place is worth ordering from, we'll search to see if they have their own website and check them first and see how the food looks, if they have pictures, if it's a good quality website. Like it's not just like you can find some seedy ass looking websites. I'm not saying that's a good indication of the food, but I mean it counts for something.
Or at the very least, look it up on Google Maps, type the address in, and see what you get.
I mean, I found a really seedy looking website of this Chinese food place, but then I'm like thinking this is old school, like hole in the wall, recipes straight from Kowloon Bay, kind of like authentic Chinese food. And yeah, it was great. It was great.
Yeah.
One look at the menu that was just photocopied and put on a website was just like, I was like in love.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
I want it to look like you took a picture of the menu with your cell phone and you put it on the website.
So do you get DoorDash and that sort of stuff in the holler?
Technically in the nearest city there is DoorDash stuff, but I don't want to. I'm afraid, like, the pizza delivery people in the area are used to the animals. So they're used to the weird sounds they make. So they don't side-eye me. But we always get one new delivery driver a year. And they'll, like, I've literally caught one of them sitting in their car because they're confused and they're scared.
Okay, so you don't really have a dog in this fight then, but someday when civilization finally creeps up on your doorstep,
West Virginia civilization will never creep up.
You're gonna have to deal with these lying sacks of shit pretending that Chuck E. Cheese is actually good pizza.
Well, that's the thing. Like when I lived in Louisville, I usually did Grubhub because I trusted Grubhub more, and I did DoorDash on occasion. This never happened to me.
I think this is relatively new.
It's relatively new, yeah.
Yeah, because I was
but they're springing like wildfire.
Oh yeah, no, I would have put the stuff in the car with the receipt, driven to the place, and gone, "What the fuck?"
Now, I'm going to say one nice thing about Chuck E. Cheese pizza.
Yeah.
If you have young kids who don't like strong tastes, it's good pizza for them. It really is.
That's good marketing right there.
It's well made too. It's well made. Yeah. They're smart about it. They don't they know put a whole bunch of seasoning on, but it's oh my gosh, it's as boring as blotter paper.
Yeah.
I go to Chuck E. Cheese for two things: to play skee ball and laser tag. That's all I do.
I think if you went to Chuck E. Cheese and they were serving $40 pizzas that served 3 people, you know, that fermented for 5 days, made from Caputo 00 flour imported from Italy. This would
Yeah.
probably be a waste of your money. They make a product to a price point, and it's fun. I mean, I do remember being a little kid. There was a place that I used to go to when I was very little, and I remember it being a tremendous amount of fun. They had like live music and like an animated banjo playing creature that came out of the wall and stuff. But
A bunch of
you know,
terrified parents and screaming children
man,
everywhere.
you'd sit at these tables almost like it was a Basque restaurant, and it was kind of dark, and they had like this fantastic arcade section that you could just kind of get lost in. Oh, it was so good. And they would bring out like this probably better than Chuck E. Cheese, but still kind of shitty family style pizza, and buckets of ravioli, like, you know, like a Kentucky Fried Chicken bucket, but like full of like ravioli and stuff. Man, when you're a little kid, that is great. That's a good time, is what that is.
It is. It absolutely is. Yeah.
Unfortunately, it was pretty funny. My dad actually had a bit of a crush on the woman who was the singer there, and my mom thought it was cute. Luckily, so that worked out.
You know, the interesting thing, as a former banjo player in the Shakey's Pizza, one of the interesting jobs that I've had, I object to animatronic beings playing the banjo and taking my job away, and speak to my union steward about it.
Get right on that. Just imagine that. One of the union stewards coming down. Take that animatronic off there.
All right, so let's see.
You ought to use this as a way to introduce your topic of bullshit.
No, I'm blaming functional, but the thing was, it was a combination of functional statement about how everything is bullshit, and then as I was thinking about, okay, I want to do some kind of little bit at the beginning of the show, just to kind of lighten things up before we get into all this heavy
chat,
nonsense.
I just kind of had a little paragraph rant to Harry and some other people about how just everything was bullshit. Like, how do you discern what is real, what is not, when most of the time everything is bullshit? So I just throw up my hands and go, whatever. I'll just disconnect for a week or two.
Mostly it's like that physics cat. You got to check on the cat.
Every now and then.
That's the only way you know it's bullshit or not. So, you know, because if it's in a superposition of possibly being bullshit or possibly not being bullshit, you really should check it out and find out if it actually is bullshit.
Well, there was a book written by an academic, Professor Frankfurt, and it's called On Bullshit. And it's one of those books that made me think about things differently than I used to before that. And he actually differentiates between lies and bullshit. So when somebody tries to lie, they at least sort of recognize that there is some sort of truth, and they're trying to deceive you from it.
Yeah, they're trying to deceive you.
In the case of somebody who's bullshitting, they're telling you stuff that pretty much just is self-serving nonsense. They don't care if it's right or wrong. It's completely incidental. They may not even take the time to look because it doesn't matter. What they're doing is they're just basically spinning things to benefit themselves.
Yeah, we would call talking heads.
And in some ways, this is almost worse than lying, because what you're doing is you're taking the whole idea of truth and saying it's irrelevant, which diminishes all of us.
This is CNN.
Exactly. So
but it says reliable sources, Skep. How could it be
when
wrong?
the press goes around doing all this stuff, so we're going to look a little bit at sort of this idea of everything being bullshit, and possibly talk a bit about kind of how we got to this place. And closer to the end, there's actually a section where something good happened. So it's not all gloom and doom. It actually kind of culminates in something that I thought was pretty positive. Did you get a chance to read that article, Serenity?
Are you talking about the one that was from
the Royal Institute, or the one about the Royal Institute? Cool. Okay.
I read it.
So here we go. No point putting things off any further. Ghost kitchens, goodbye. No, that is not the right thing.
Go fuck yourself, Ghost Kitchens. Go fuck yourself.
So people engage in this sort of bullshit for a lot of a lot of reasons. Oh, we're supposed to have a break, but I'm going to put it off. Hold on just a second here. Nope. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. What the hell? Okay, technical excellence has been achieved, I promise.
Woohoo!
All right, so a little bit of a break. How about this? This was on the news. I don't know if you saw this. Greatest moment TV live.
Oh no! I know what this
Wait.
is. There's no sound, Harry.
There's no sound here.
Of course, I have to completely screw
Yeah.
everything.
But I know what this is.
Thanks, Obama.
Thanks, Obama. All right.
Literally.
So did you guys you guys saw this?
I did
yeah.
not. I did
Yeah.
not.
All
What are you
right, well,
talking about?
Buckle up.
Oh yeah.
And no arrests have been made.
A 71-year-old man is accused of inappropriately touching a 12-year-old girl at the Walmart in North Sunday afternoon.
No, that did not
Get it
happen.
off, get it off, get it off.
Oh god.
Oh no. No.
No.
Oh,
I'm glad she
yes.
doesn't live in
Oh,
another
no.
country, otherwise
Wait a
she'd be
minute.
dead.
Run that back. Run that back just a little bit. One more
Okay,
time.
I could do that.
I want to
Here.
hear what she's. Say that
It's not
again.
clear what may have been taken, and no arrests have been made.
A 71-year-old man is accused of inappropriately touching a 12-year-old girl.
No,
at the
no, no, no,
Walmart
no,
in West
no.
Mifflin Sunday
Biden hasn't
afternoon.
been 71 for a long time.
I
I
know.
love it's been up for 4 days and it's already at almost 2 million
I
views.
cannot believe how
That's not Joe
wonderful
Biden,
this
that's
is.
Bo Jiden.
Yeah, really.
Well, the thing is that
I'll bet you. Are they going to hear about this on CNN? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, the thing is that the bullshit comes in all sorts of flavors, shapes, sizes.
Yeah,
it
it
comes
does.
from a lot of different places. So this is epic bullshit right here. Reading woman accused of
Oh,
faking
yeah.
2016 kidnapping, defrauding state. Sherry Papini, 39 of Reading, was found in November 2016 after days of searching in California and several nearby states with bindings on her body and injuries, including a brand, in quotes, on her right shoulder. She had been reported missing November 2nd. She told authorities at the time that she had been kidnapped at gunpoint by 2 Hispanic women, even providing descriptions to an FBI sketch artist. They're really bad descriptions, too. In reality, authorities said she was staying with a former boyfriend nearly 600 miles away in a home in Orange County in Southern California.
No, from her home in
From
Orange
her home
County.
in California, and hurt herself to back up her false statements.
This is, you have a Munchausen's type of personality disorder with this woman. I had heard about this case. She's a nut. She's a nut all the way through. This is a person who, she doesn't even deserve to be arrested. She just needs to go into an asylum and get inpatient help until because what will happen is she'll continue to have these types of episodes, and it might be developing schizophrenia.
Well, she actually, after all this was done, she's back with her husband and her 2 kids, had the nerve to apply for money out of a victims fund from the state.
Yeah.
So not only did she make false statements and waste a bunch of the taxpayers' money,
Complete narcissist.
but she ended up taking money from the state to help her over whatever soreness she developed when she was screwing her ex-boyfriend.
Or branding herself.
Or branding herself.
When you see permanent self-harm like that's a sign of mental illness. You've crossed the line. She's crazy.
Yeah.
Oops, shoot.
She's crazy.
That's
But,
there, I would say.
but this is bullshit. It comes from individuals. It isn't necessarily just from the government.
That's
but
true.
there's more sort of individual BS before we get into the government BS is
Oh yeah.
this video by Kit Boja, who's one of the biggest scam baiters out there. He basically,
I used to like his channel.
well, this is actually a pretty good video that he put together. He's going through and detailing all these assholes on TikTok that are making
good.
fake videos about stuff happening in Ukraine. It's really sad. They're claiming that they're live streaming and you hear like a woman sobbing, but it's a live stream, so you can tell it's on a loop. and then you
Right.
hear the same canned audio on different
Right.
multiple live streams.
Yes.
There are people who are actually faking, they're pulling up military footage and then
Because they
asking,
can.
and some of them are doing it just for the views, and some of them are doing it actually for donations.
Yeah,
Just
I've seen some
disgusting.
of that stuff, and they're using some of this tactical attack software that games out war scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
and using that, to back up these scams. And there's always a GoFundMe attached to it.
They're using, like video game software and, so
Right.
you think you're looking at, something that's real, but it's actually from a video game. Like this
Yeah.
is from a video game, but it's on TikTok pretending that it's actually real footage. Because these people are
Yeah.
scum.
Always look to see if the smoke behaves right. That's how you can tell.
Yeah.
That's one way
So
you
this
can
is
tell.
another one of those. This one has 1.8 million views, and it's just another simulation that they're sort of passing off as if it's a real thing. This is actually from an air show, but they're making it look like they were dropping bomblets on a civilian population.
Yeah.
Pray
that's
for
chaff-
Ukraine.
That's chaff coming out of the back of it's like a P3.
I thought chaff was the anti-radar aluminum foil BS. Isn't this
It's-
the infrared stuff?
It's all referred to as chaff. It's stuff you dump out of your plane when you want to fool the missile. And this is the
Okay.
IR stuff. It's hot little pellets of magnesium something, and that burn up and try and fool the heat-seeking sensor on like an AIM-9 or Sidewinder type of missile.
Yeah. Well, it's the problem now that it used to be that if we asked for video, it was a lot harder to fake video. Now we've got people, they can just go on story blocks or grab something from video game footage or an archive somewhere, and they can just put together stuff and just slap some yellow and blue on it and go, give me money.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean,
That's what I've been doing.
We've got a couple gamers here. I mean, it's visually getting really hard to tell the difference between fake and real on a lot of this stuff.
Some of your top end like military sims. Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
The one before this, Arma 3 with the guns. Yes, the smoke looks a little off, but I mean, to the
That's
layman,
almost the only way you can tell.
yeah, but
Smoke's
to the
getting better,
layman's
though.
step,
Yeah,
if someone's never seen a quad AA gun,
right. Shadows and
shooting.
smoke though are the
Very hard.
giveaways.
yeah.
For now.
For now, but,
and
like-
Yeah, for
people's
now, right,
faces. But
exactly.
if you were to get
Yes,
some
yes.
game footage of like people, the camera angles like to the backs of their heads, and they're shooting, civilian targets. I mean, like that stuff is easily accepted as real.
Oh
or
yeah.
can be.
Well,
Put a little bit out of
your
focus.
brain does a lot of that. Sorry, go ahead. Sir.
Well, I was gonna say, put a little film grain on it and make it a little out of focus.
Yep.
Make sure it's real fast and real quick. No one can tell. That's the reason why I don't trust any of the military footage I see coming
Yeah,
out
just
of
watch.
other countries.
It's
Of
just
what
Watch a
modern
Michael
TikTok.
Bay movie, Serenity.
It's the modern Skep. It's the modern equivalent of smearing a little Vaseline on the lens.
Basically, yeah. I'm waiting for
That's
someone to do a Wolfenstein.
Where the
like,
old guys are
video
telling
from
dirty
Wolfenstein.
jokes.
Yep.
I'm waiting for someone to pull a Wolfenstein clip or something like that.
Yeah.
Look at what they're doing to us.
Yeah, it's
Shoot
pretty
through
terrible.
cheesecloth.
Not to mention, if there's ever any where they're like, if it's a private person, not like a bigger company or something like that, and they go, or an actual like aid organization, like an actual one, like don't give your money to them. Don't.
Mhm.
There's, yeah, it's like don't trust it. Don't ever trust it. It's the first rule of the internet. If someone asks you for money, tell them no.
Well, I found something that I hate, and you're going to think, Harry, you're a terrible human being because this means you hate children. No, I don't hate children. I just hate this.
Chicken!
I hate this channel so much. Okay, because it's just a bunch of these short videos where let's see, it's just
Put
kids
it in the oven!
scream. Oh God, I hate this so much. I know there's something wrong with me. I'm supposed to like
No,
this, right?
you're not.
No, you're not supposed to like that. That's
Look,
intentional.
look. To people who have children and love their small children and want to show them off to the world, we don't care. I'm happy that you love your children and that you're good parents and all that, but I don't want to see this. I don't care.
860,000 subscribers,
Let me deliver
33,000 views.
Let me deliver a bit of truth to those of you who have not had the pleasure of raising children. Every parent goes through periods of time in the raising of the youth where you want to drown them. Okay? Yes, they're your precious little angel, and you want to hold their little head underwater until they stop moving, because they just have you've had it. You're just done. You're broken. Your kids will break you, and I can very easily summon up that feeling when I look at this little shithead screaming into the camera. And it's really not his fault. It's the people who are exploiting him.
Oh, of course, this kid's being exploited. I'm gonna play one more. 33,000 views.
Well, it's a YouTube short, and it's done very similar to how TikTok is, where you just kind of scroll up. So it's very easy to get those number of views on the YouTube short side than it is to actually get it organically kind of through actual YouTube. So I wouldn't take those numbers as 100%.
Well,
honest.
This is why I've actually recommended to some people who wanted to do cooking channel things that using shorts as a way of driving traffic to their YouTube cooking channels would be like what I recommended to them, because apparently anybody will watch anything if it's short enough. Yeah. Anyway, on to another block where we're talking about pointless virtue signaling. We've got 3 examples of this, and they get increasingly... The first 2 are silly, and the third one's actually worthy of serious conversation.
I thought it'd been written by a jazz musician, and he was talking about Russians. He's banning Russians. Russian cats are not cool, man.
That's right.
But they're actually talking about Russian cats.
Russian cats.
Breed.
Well, when I first heard about it, I was thinking that from this title, I thought that they were banning breeds of Russian cats, but they're actually banning cats that are owned by Russians.
Okay.
It took me a while
That makes a little more sense.
That makes
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it, but it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
So the International Cat Federation, apparently that's a thing.
Yeah, not as stupid.
Says it has banned Russian cats from its international competitions in the latest rebuke to Russia since it invaded Ukraine last week. Okay, whatever makes you sleep better at night. Is this helping anybody? No. This is just more pointless virtue signaling.
Now, the only thing that I could see, and I highly doubt they're doing this kind of 8D chess, is that it's because these cat shows are very often, I don't think they have very many in Russia. They're usually in other countries, and this is meant to keep people who are the wealthy locked in Russia. This way they can't run to other countries while everything goes to shit. And like just kind of go, no, you don't have an excuse. Go away. Stay in your own country, asshole. Like, don't be coming here. Like, that's the only thing I can figure, but even then, that's a little too nice.
Well, we have another trivial one before we get to something that actually kind of sort of matters.
Has meaning.
Yeah. So, Vladimir Putin stripped of honorary black belt in Taekwondo after Ukraine invasion.
Yeah, I saw that on Tumblr.
I didn't know that Putin had an honorary black belt in Taekwondo.
That'll back him off. He probably didn't know that was involved. If he knew that what kind of a sanction was waiting for him, he would have thought twice.
Well, and the fact that
comrade, I give it back.
They found a picture of him, competing with Ukraine's colors on the mat. I think that's actually kind of beautiful.
Blue is in an S shape.
Sorry, this is him actually doing judo, hence the contact here. The governing body of the Korean Martial Art Forum has taken the decision to retract the honor after the Russian president launched an invasion of Ukraine across land, sea, and air Those are the best three ways, which has widely been condemned by the international community. Putin has practiced judo since his childhood and became the first Russian to achieve the 8th Dan black belt in 2012. Well, respect. Before being awarded the 9th Dan black belt by World Taekwondo a year later. Now, though, the organization is taking the honor back. I think they should have to forcibly go collect it from him.
Yeah. You wanted to come and take it. Bliet.
Sometimes in Russia, belt blackens you. So, yeah, this is more pointless stuff. This isn't so much important as what's interesting to me is why somebody would do this to begin with.
Because it's all they can do. They want to do something, and they want to do something, that has some meaning. And this is as close as they can get. That's
just
my
shaking
theory.
your fist at the wind, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Shrieking at the wind, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, there's also the other side of it, which is that they may be doing it because of the public outrage, and they're afraid that if they don't do it and get found out, they're going to get destroyed and have their own livelihoods go the way of the dodo. So they're doing it preemptively, which makes it look terrible.
They fear that Serenity. I think you've got their mental picture right. It's
Yeah.
probably not a realistic fear at all.
It's not.
Who the hell cares?
You're right. It's not.
You didn't ban Russian cats. Screw you. I'm not putting my cat in your cat shows.
Yeah. The people who think
said no one ever.
Yeah.
So.
The people who do that kind of stupid crap are the morons who buy Nikes and then burn them. Like, it's like, why? You spent the money, you idiot.
Or who cheer on and profit from the Olympic athletes who went to another country that,
They all failed.
is just west of Taiwan.
God,
And there was no virtue there. It was kind of like...
Yeah, well, I'm not including the yacht seizures or the Abramovich stuff. I mean, I'm actually trying to sort of stay clear of a lot of... I'm trying to stay in sort of the meta discussion of the bullshit, the cloud of bullshit, and not get too far into the weeds of the specifics. But I will say that you have to take your enemies seriously when they've got this level of discipline. Joe Biden going out talking about how he's the guy to take on Putin because he's like this big tough guy. It's like, I don't think Putin's scared of you, dude.
I don't think.
I mean, he probably should be scared of the sanctions. Those are going to suck. There's certainly things you can do, but the tough talk where you're trying to sound macho, like you're the one with the fortitude, as opposed to the huge amount of economic power. Just trying to out macho Putin is not going to work with Biden.
There's two things Putin's afraid of. He's afraid of being weak, not looking weak, actually being weak, and he's afraid of being forgotten. Those are the only two things he's afraid of.
Or not remembered the right way.
Yes, exactly.
You can check those two boxes.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of the things that, getting back to your bullshit theme, that irritates me with respect to the Ukraine thing, for example, we know that they're using cluster bombs. I've seen tape of the cluster bombs falling. I've seen tape of actual munitions runs with cluster bombs. I know what a cluster bomb looks like, a cluster bomb attack looks like, and it sure looks like they're using cluster bombs from the tape that I have seen from Ukraine. Biden knows this, and he was confronted about that, and he said, we don't have any evidence that they're using cluster bombs, except for the videotape, except for the dead people.
Mm-hmm. Except for that.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit that he's trotted out to achieve a narrative goal, to support his narrative that he's got this. If they do something serious, then we'll take steps. But the thing that Biden doesn't want, and this is why you should never elect a president who is owned by foreign governments. He knows he can't get too horsey with Putin, because Putin is in an uneasy alliance with China, and China owns Biden all the way through, all the way to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Biden is hoping that Ukraine will fall. He doesn't care whether Ukraine falls to the Russians or stays independent. He really doesn't.
Hunter's check's already cleared, so it's fine.
Yeah, exactly. The Gazprom thing that was nice for a while.
Yeah.
Burisma, right? Thank you. He's moved on. But the thing is, as long what he doesn't want to get upset is his apple cart with China. That's what he has to protect right now, and I'll guarantee you that Hunter is still negotiating deals with the Chinese. I promise you that's going on.
I thought he'd retired and moved into the art world, but you never know. You never know with Hunter. He's such a bright guy.
It's
an
artistic
guy that
personality.
Joe knows. Smartest guy
Yeah.
Joe knows is Hunter.
Yeah.
Because he clearly uses those smarts to make the best high quality choices. Speaking of choices, this is a little more substantial than the other nonsense. The Metropolitan Opera in New York is basically severing ties with artists from Russia that are allied in any sort of significant way with Vladimir Putin. Now, to be a successful artist in Russia at kind of the world stage level, it's probably pretty damn hard not to be associated with Putin. Again, this isn't a defense, but especially when you're getting into something like classical music where it's not being funded by commercial sales. It's actually, a lot of it's being sponsored by the government and oligarchs. You need the government and rich people as patrons to prop this stuff up.
Yep.
And so these people naturally have these connections. So in the case of the Met, New York's famed opera house, the Metropolitan Opera, announced Sunday that it will suspend its ties to Russian artists and institutions who are allied with Russian President Vladimir Putin. The Met's general manager, Peter Gelb, expressed solidarity with the people and leadership of Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. As an international opera company, the Met can help ring the alarm and contribute to the fight against oppression.
He just took credit for doing that.
You're not doing any of those things, asshole.
I know, but he's trying to take credit for that. That's what.
Talk about stolen valor.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, other people are fighting and dying, but he is firing people.
Yeah, he's ringing the alarm.
This is where the real bravery is. We can no longer engage with artists or institutions that support Putin or are supported by him. Not until the invasion and killing has been stopped, order has been restored, and restitutions have been made. Nice job not putting that extra comma in there, asshole.
The Oxford comma.
Yeah, so there's a number of people associated with the Met that are upholding this. Now, the big conductor, Valery Gergiev, I'm terrible with names, has been an active supporter and friend of Putin since they first met in 1992. So he's the conductor. He's gone. They have a long history together. I know Geodes is in the chat taking care of putting these links out here. So there's a lot of stuff for people to go back and look at. I'm really digging this new highlight tool. In addition, star soprano Anna Netrebko, spoiler alert, this article was written earlier. She's actually gone now too. In 2012, she endorsed Putin's election, said in an interview that she wished that she had the chance to be Putin's lover as she admired his strong male energy.
She got a phone call shortly after that.
Thanks for sharing, Anna. No, but I mean, she's one of the best sopranos in the world, bar none.
Yeah, although there are a lot of good coloratures right now.
There are a lot of good ones, but she's one of the best.
Yeah, she is. She's top notch. She's top notch.
I mean, I'm not going to stop listening to Valentina Lizitsa or other people. Because it feels like we're getting into the thing where we're blaming individual Russians, even people who aren't materially benefiting from the conflict. I may not be phrasing this particularly well, but I mean, this is not what I want to see in the United States. Remember after 9/11, where there's this thing, you can't be Islamophobic, you don't take it out on Islamic Americans who are good American citizens, but we're very happy to just start lashing out at people with Russian names.
Well, they're white, don't you see?
Right. So it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's not like they're disadvantaged. You can go ahead and oppress the shit out of them. They got nothing. They're not part of a disenfranchised group, so they have no protection.
Well, Netrebko went on to say, forcing artists or any public figure to voice their political opinions in public and to denounce their homeland is not right. I felt the same way. I mean, I know this is trivial. When Taylor Swift used to keep her stupid mouth shut about politics, she was actually very good at being apolitical for a long time. And finally, the mob came to her and said, you got to pick a side. Am I getting this wrong, Serenity? Not that you're a Taylor Swift fan, but I know you know things.
Well, the thing is that she was apolitical when she was in the country music part of pop. The minute she decided she was going to go whole hog pop, she got political. Like, she wrote an entire song and did a video where it was basically saying that if I was a man, no one would have a problem with anything I do. And it's like, oh, honey, no. A whore is a whore. But it was the minute she just fully accepted. Basically, it was the minute she used her country audience for everything she could and switched over to pop, she started getting political. Before that, she had enough sense to know that she was not, the country music scene at that time would not welcome it.
Mm-hmm. I think she carried on into her pop years a little bit.
She did, but she was still relying on the country base a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
She needed, I think, I don't think she's as savvy as everyone tries to make her to be. Someone in her inner circle was probably telling her, make sure that the anchor is holding on the pop side before you fully cut ties with the countryside. And I think that's what she did. But she used to just keep her mouth shut, complain about the fact that people complained about her having multiple partners. And it's like, no, it wasn't the multiple partner thing, sweetheart. It had nothing to do with it. But yeah, and that was about the most she would complain about and talk about how it's not fair for a woman. And then it was about when Hillary ran the second time that she started getting political, real hardcore, because she went down that same path of everybody else of like, I'm a woman and I have a hard time.
I think people should be allowed to be.
Pretty.
I think people should be allowed to be apolitical. First of all,
absolutely.
And second of all, I have Russian friends. The thought that somebody is going to look at, my Russian friends who moved here, 20, 30 years ago and think differently of them because of something Vladimir Putin did, that's repugnant to me.
Yeah.
Konstantin Kissin is one of the two guys from Trigonometry, and he is formerly from Russia. He became a British citizen, I think, in 1998. So he's a British citizen originally from Russia with relatives in Russia and in Ukraine. And he was actually on BBC Question Time a couple days ago.
I saw that.
Really good stuff. So
Yes.
on the Trigonometry channel, they actually have some clips of just him, just his portion of it. And he pretty much just shut down a lot of the pointless navel gazing and virtue signaling that was going on with the rest of the panel, because here was a guy who actually knew what he was talking about, at least in terms of the attitudes of the people.
Focused and informed.
Yeah, so he's a smart guy. I actually really like Trigonometry.
Yeah, I'm so glad you told me about that, Harry. Thank you so much.
So if you're actually looking for an in-depth discussion about that, I'm not going to try to duplicate it here because I can't do as good a job as he can. He's qualified and I'm not. Maybe if Geodes is still out there, he can dig some of that up and put a link in the chat, because I didn't prepare one. I apologize.
Just in answer to those of you who are speculating in chat, yes, I have heard of Taylor Swift, and she is chiefly interesting to me because of the presidential joke that is available from her existence. Now, come on, you want to hear the joke, right?
I feel like it's inevitable. Go ahead.
Nobody ever called Zachary Taylor Swift.
Nice.
Thanks.
Somehow we have to work a Taft joke into tonight.
That's a dad joke. That's a dad joke.
Well, he's a granddad.
A granddad joke.
He's graduated to granddad jokes.
He's dad squared.
I'm grandfathered.
Okay, I have an incredibly stupid topic, and this is probably going to be me and functional. Okay.
I see how it is.
Yeah.
No,
we'll
no,
see in a
just go
moment.
on.
Okay,
Very like
cat
the
girls.
picture.
Dude, please explain to me, why would you want to make women or cats worse? What possible point is there
Why the fuck would
in
I know? I'm
having
not
a
the lead.
130-pound woman that sleeps 20 hours a day in your house?
And hates you.
It's,
Just buy our house. Get on with it.
The thing is sad. I have real life friends who are into that shit.
okay,
Oh,
so
I know.
Serenity, please explain this to me. Why?
Okay, no. Just because I have friends who are into this stuff does not mean I understand it. I think it's hilarious.
I think it's hilarious too. I wanted to have a light topic to break up all this other stuff, so I thought, we've been talking about anime, and there have been a bunch of is anime cancer videos that have been out lately, including the one from Daughter of Albion, which was probably the most savage one about how anime is cancer. So I thought, hey, what the hell? Let's just talk about cat girls, because as an adult human male, I don't see how this would make cats or women better. I don't even
No.
understand what the appeal would be of
Well,
a cat girl.
Here's what I think you're missing, Harry.
I'm clearly missing something.
It's clear to me that what you don't understand is that most of the people who put on these sort of accoutrements do not look like the model in your picture. They have bottle thick glasses, acne, they're 60-pound overweight, and they don't understand why they can't get dates, but they run around beautifying themselves, because the only thing that was missing was making this fat chick look like a fat cat. And that's they really are kind of...
You think she's thick, Skep? I can't quite tell, honestly.
No.
She's not, but
No.
She knows people who are.
Yes. And they probably her patrons on OnlyFans.
Absolutely. all those lonely, fat, potato chip eating,
Yeah.
ne'er-do-wells who are still living with their parents. And yeah. Anyway,
Well, this
I don't
is
know
like
what to say.
that. This is like that idea that everything is better with chocolate or bacon, right? Not everything is better with chocolate or bacon, and women would not be better if they were part cat, nor would cats be better if they were part women.
Well,
this is a lose-lose proposition in my opinion.
I don't know about that bacon thing, man.
I just saw your post, Serenity. Thank you.
Yeah. They seem to have disappeared. But anyway.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Oh, Jack's in the chat. Oh,
Yeah.
Jack. Poor
Jack,
poor
run.
Gunsky,
Jack,
you showed
run.
up at just the right time.
Run, Jack. The only thing I can figure is that for
Jack loves cat girls. Maybe we should get him on to talk about them.
Don't. Please don't. But the only thing I can figure is that, as far as I know, because the people I know, they are in pseudo, and I've had to tell them more than once, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. BDSM relationships. And for some reason, cat girls are always the submissive, at least the ones I've seen, someone in chat will probably correct me, are always very submissive, very cute, very scantily clad. And I'm just like, you've never met a cat in your
You've
life.
never met a cat. Cats aren't submissive.
Cats will claw your face off.
Cats
But
are randomly violent. And I forget what it is. I think it's 80% of cat bites get infected.
Oh yeah. As someone who's been had an infection for more than one, yes. But there's also cat boys, but you will never see a physical human guy dressed up as a cat. They're always drawn. As
a straight heterosexual white male, I'm struggling with the cat girl concept. The cat guy concept is so far off that I'm not even going to try to think about that.
Yeah, no, it's also one of the bad things being on Tumblr is I have seen every iteration of this. I have seen dragon boys and girls. I have seen dog boys and girls, and I'm just like, guys, I'm hoping this doesn't mean you secretly want to fuck animals. I really do.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to hide it, because please don't. Don't do that to that poor animal.
So more stuff that falls broadly under the category of bullshit. Hey, Functional. You still with us?
Did he die on us?
What? Anytime he's like, hey, Functional, I know it's going to piss me off.
Easy 3-ingredient chocolate mousse. So this isn't from Kirby's Cravings. This is actually this is bullshit. And the reason this is okay because this is about marshmallows pretending to be mousse. This is not legitimate. This is not the way you make chocolate mousse. It's basically marshmallows are gelatin and sugar. That's all they are,
Yeah.
right?
It's
So
chocolate
essentially you take marshmallows, you kind of sort of dissolve them in milk, and then you add cocoa powder to it, a la, chocolate mousse. No.
chocolate jello.
Yeah, it's chocolate jello. Screw you. It's terrible.
Topped with cyanide if desired.
Yeah.
It's not that hard to make like a very simple chocolate mousse.
No,
With
it's
an almond
incredibly
finish.
easy and
not that hard.
just as much cleanup as this.
They're
Yeah, that's
BuzzFeed
true.
people. They're BuzzFeed people. They have no idea
Oh.
how easy a mousse is. Even I know how easy a mousse is. That doesn't even look good. Look how grainy that looks.
No, that's not made from real mousse.
It's not made from real mallow.
Okay, 3-ingredient pancakes.
Okay, now I've had banana pancakes. They are not bad. I like those. So don't
Okay.
don't
Yeah.
be mean.
That
Don't
is
be
a
mean.
banana fritter. That is not a pancake.
I call it a banana pancake. We country around here. Let it
Whatever.
go.
You're-
One banana,
You're
2
cooking
eggs,
a small cake
cinnamon,
in a pan.
and then your 3-ingredient thing,
I don't put
comes with
cinnamon.
you add maple sugar, or maple syrup, or honey.
But
I
in
don't
the
put-
grand scheme
But
of
that's
things,
a condiment, so
Terry,
it doesn't count apparently.
but in the grand scheme of things, this isn't that bad compared to
Yeah.
some of the others we've
It's a
covered.
nasty looking pancake, and it probably tastes like banana.
Well, I like
hate
bananas, so that's a
bananas.
good thing.
I like
I
bananas
hate bananas. I
Foster.
would never eat it.
I love making ice cream from bananas.
I actually had Southern style banana pudding for the first time in my
Ooh,
life about
nice.
about
Oh, really?
5 days ago.
Yeah.
And
It's making me hungry.
I can tell you the first bite, it's like, this tastes really good. Second bite, this tastes really good, but something's happening and I'm not sure what it is. Third bite, I had it and I'm like, what the hell is going on? By the time the fourth bite happened, the lingering taste of banana had reached some sort of critical mass.
Yes.
And I
That's-
thought that my mouth was going to explode in banana meltdown.
There's usually a reason why you have to have black coffee with it.
That
to
must have been the
break it
problem.
up.
I don't drink coffee because
Yeah.
trying to eat banana pudding without something like strong black coffee is
Yeah.
not going to work.
That's kind of it's supposed to be an after dinner thing. So so you're supposed to eat. One, it's a rare occasion thing, and two, it's supposed to be black, like molasses thick coffee and good Southern banana pudding.
Those
Like,
pancakes
that's
are
what you
making me sad.
These pancakes, I love banana fritters for Harry. I love those things.
It's not a pancake. There's no flour in it. It's not a
I know.
pancake.
Where's the flour? Hello.
In hell.
It's not a pancake.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Anyway,
There's nothing cake about it.
sadly, that's the end of that. Last vestiges of Russia's free press fall under Kremlin pressure. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, what's happened is precipitating there's a Russian radio station which was set up by dissidents in 1990. Now, people are saying, well, the Russian people are going to stop what's going on in Ukraine. Well, no, they're not, because they're being fed this complete line of bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
And anybody who isn't on board with the bullshit that the state has approved is going to face up to 15 years in prison. So, talking about the radio station, precipitating the outlet's demise was plans by the Russian parliament to take up legislation on Friday that would make news considered fakes about Russia's war with Ukraine punishable by years-long prison terms. The Russian
Is that
authorities,
misinformation? Is that the same as what when we call things misinformation?
yeah,
When
you
we
just
cancel
you slap
people and
that.
cost you your job.
It's like hate speech, even though the
Oh,
Supreme
sure.
Court says that there is no such thing as hate speech, there's just speech.
Yeah.
Just ignore that because we're never going to make the world a better place with that attitude. The Russian authorities have already made it clear that the very act of calling it a war, the Kremlin prefers the term special military operation, is considered disinformation. We're going to punish those who spread panic using fakes by up to 15 years, a senior lawmaker said on Thursday. During World War II, he said such people were shot on the spot. Please discuss.
Hang on, I just all right. Precipitating the Allies' demise were plans by the Russian parliament to take up legislation on Friday to make news considered fakes. Okay, so what they're doing is they're codifying the in classic Russian fashion. They're controlling speech. They're saying the speech is out of bounds. If you say this, we're going to lock you up. And being locked up for 15 years, regardless of your age, probably you probably will spend the rest of your life in prison. You probably won't live 15 years, not under the conditions.
These people might live
Russian
15
jail.
years, but if you scroll down,
Maybe.
I don't think this guy's got 15 years in prison. Not
Yeah.
in Russian prison.
No.
Jeez.
And they're the thing that blows me away about the story is that this is what's happening in our country. We don't have a war, but if you say the wrong things in our country, you get your stuff taken away.
Mm-hmm.
In Russia, they're just saying, we're also going to make you a guest of the state. And so you'll at least get room and board. In America, we say, no, you lose everything. You lose your ability to make a living. You can't use a bank anymore. You can't buy gasoline. You can't participate in society, depending on how effective the cancellation is.
And somehow that's more ethical.
Well, and somehow that's more ethical. And the other thing is that a 15-year prison sentence in Russia is a 15-year prison sentence. In America, when you get canceled, one of the things I'm starting to see is some people are becoming uncanceled. I noticed somebody who had been canceled, some expert on something, I forget what it was, came out and they effectively were uncanceled. It was somebody on I think it was in the political analysis department. No, I remember what it was. Actually, there were two things. The one I just thought of was Dr. Seuss. Dr. Seuss had been canceled. Dr. Seuss was verboten because he made statements back in the 1930s that offended some of the snowflakes of today, and so he got canceled. Now he's been uncanceled and he's back in the schools.
Oh, cool.
So it's I think our canceling people is not as good as Russian cancellation. In Russia, they cancel your life.
Mm-hmm.
Here, we say you're canceled, and then we inconvenience
Until we
you
forget about you
for a year or two. Yeah, exactly, and then we forget and go on.
So
It's so
Louis
Western.
C.K. Was committing sort of this performative sexual act in front of people with their consent, I believe.
Right.
But it got out that he was doing this, and that was his kink. Again, I don't try to.
There was a power
understand.
imbalance here.
I don't try to understand other people's kinks. The fact that what he did isn't really the issue. The point is that he sort of stepped down, spent some time thinking about what nasty thing he did, and then was gradually allowed to sort of come back.
It's referred to as a walk in the wilderness.
Yeah, a walk in the wilderness. Now, in China, I actually met a guy who was he was the father of the Chinese ballistic missile program. And so I got to be with a group that talked to him, a small group, for a couple hours one time. And he said, essentially, to make sure that you stuck with the program, even though he was an incredibly important man in terms of what he could do for the cause, they just decided, well, we don't want you getting too full of yourself, so there's a rocky field in Mongolia that really could use your attention. So they just sort of sent him off sort of Christopher Nolan style and said, well, get to plowing and think about how you're just a cog in a machine for a while, and we'll let you know when we think you're ready to go back to work.
Did he come back as Batman?
He came back as Batman, but no, he did this and this was just a corrective thing that they did, to make sure that people stayed in line. But you're right. In Russia, it seems like it might be kind of a one-way street.
Mm.
You get disciplined and you just disappear in prison.
They're real good at that. The gulag system that they had for dissidents for 70 years, that just ended those people. Even if it didn't end their lives immediately, and it tortured them to death over 5 or 10 years, however long it took them to die from the repeated respiratory illnesses that came from being cold all year long, never warm, never one time. You'll die.
Depends on the camp. Some of them.
It depends on the camp. Some
of them were freezing cold in the winter and blazing hot.
Yes,
filled with mosquitoes during the summer.
The southern part of Siberia, but the stuff up in the winter climes, they had people who just would wander off and they would freeze to death on purpose because they couldn't stand it anymore.
Called permafrost for a reason.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, but that kind of sucks. But if you look at what's going on in the U.S., it's not like we don't have our problems here. So I actually wanted to think about the American journalists' attitude toward the news and toward bullshit. Because I've talked to people who've taken journalism classes in the last 20 years. And there's definitely this attitude that the public good is much more important than the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think this has to get too terribly heavy, but we've got an example I was able to dig up here from the Center for International Governance Innovation.
By Mr. Picard.
Actually, would one of you care to read this? Functional, do you feel up to it? This part that's highlighted right here, is that clear enough for you?
Just have to
make it larger.
No, I just have to scoot up. As nations around the globe grapple with precipitous decline in financial support for journalism, new policies for protecting local media, and by extension, democracy. Sorry, I just threw up a little in my mouth.
Yeah, this is actually pretty bad. I apologize.
Are beginning. Why you torture me? Are beginning to emerge. Many countries have begun forays into supporting non-commercial journalism, ranging from not-for-profit initiatives such as La Presse in Montreal to various kinds of media subsidies. Even the relatively libertarian United States is broaching. I know, man, it's hard to read. Serious discussions about subsidizing local journalism and other plans to support the beleaguered newspaper industry. Still the last major bastion for producing original reporting. Oh,
he's winding up for Gimme Money, as if in case anybody hasn't already seen the telegraphing. Go on.
It's hard to read that sans serif font.
It's clearer for me. Let me grab.
Well, no,
it's his actual wording and what he's saying is just
that's the other thing.
His stick.
His construction. Here, I'll take a paragraph, then you can finish it up.
Thank you.
Sure, and then there's a little more. Unfortunately, I apologize.
No worry. The good news is that policymakers finally see the crisis in journalism as a policy problem and are considering various proposals. The bad news is that many of these well-meaning efforts would ultimately only serve to prop up failing commercial outlets. Would prop up failing commercial outlets rather than ease them toward a more sustainable nonprofit future. Short-term measures that disproportionately benefit incumbent news organizations fail to heed a key point. In the digital era, most forms of local journalism are no longer commercially viable. As evidence of a systemic market failure becomes abundantly obvious, democratic societies must acknowledge that profit-driven media systems cannot provide for all our information needs. Citation needed.
Yeah.
Public options are paramount. Citation needed.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I can think of 20 off the top of my head that are thriving.
There's a lot of
what do they
bullshit
know what
here.
They're not doing? Exactly.
But let me get a little more of this out here. We'll steel man him as best as we can, and then we'll rip him to tiny little pieces. Long in thrall to market fundamentalism, the United States has been slow to learn such lessons. Yeah, it's nothing like success to tell you to keep doing what you're doing. The time has come to reject this American media exceptionalism and reframe the debate over journalism's future by clearly delineating what, why, and how democratic societies can and must intervene via policy.
Stand strong, comrade, for the worker.
He misspelled fascist.
Yeah. Today, even the staunchest defenders of the status quo must concede that the old advertising model is never coming back. Moreover, other business models such as subscriptions offer insufficient support for most news outlets beyond the largest national newspapers. Yeah, meaning that large papers with talent to produce a work product that people want to buy might actually still succeed. News organizations with global reach are strong niche outlets. For the most part, journalism's commercial era is over. Citation needed. Yet local media institutions provide an essential public service that a healthy democratic society requires, regardless of journalism's profitability. We got buggy whips to make. Okay. In the wake of it gets progressively worse. That's a good pun, but I didn't do it on purpose. In the wake of a global pandemic, democracies are newly sensitized to how local journalism provides critical information for vitally important issues, ranging from public health to conducting fair elections. But despite this newfound respect for the Fourth Estate, because have you looked at the Pew Research polls about what they think about journalists right now?
Oh my God, yeah.
Newfound respect for the Fourth Estate.
Newfound
the newspaper industry has continued to implode, losing 57% of its employees between 2008 and 2020. Yeah, consolidation will do that. Resulting in hundreds of closures and news deserts sprouting up across the country.
News deserts, please define. Is that a place without internet? Sorry,
you're going to love this next part. Public goods, often understood as vital necessities in theory, but rarely treated as such in practice, require public investments and protections from unfettered commercialism. Subjecting these services entirely to the market gradually leads to disinvestment over time.
Is this another James Lindsay article?
No, I don't think so.
Did he just reword Mein Kampf?
By former Harvard Law School Dean Martha Minow, Saving the News clearly demonstrates that while the First Amendment forbids abridgment of U.S. citizens' freedoms, it does not forbid government from intervening to ensure that such freedoms to begin with. After all, the whole notion of press freedom is rendered meaningless without a press to be kept free. This is totally well, at least you've got bread to stand in line for.
Gibbs.
So,
please
public investments would, ideally, go only to independent nonprofit outlets. He's creating jobs. Look at this. Policymakers should attach strong conditions and ensure that funds go toward public service journalism rather than padding a for-profit organization's bottom line. Such conditions should include mandated public interest obligations, ascertainment duties, commitment to diversity, transparency, and so forth, as well as proof that these outlets are transitioning toward low or nonprofit models under local ownership and control. So essentially, unless we socialize a big chunk of independent media, we'll never be able to deal with issues like thorny pandemics and voting rights.
I have a picture of Martha Minow for you. It's just so wonderful.
She looks nice. I think she has kind eyes. No, she doesn't.
That's Diana Glampers right there.
No. So you may be saying to yourself, Harry, why are you subjecting us to this? It's like, well, because this is the kind of attitude we actually get from people who are in the news. They think they have some sort of calling to provide public service instead of being news people. If you have newspapers that have subscriptions or, digital or dirt world, whatever, you have a whole bunch of people that vote with their money to basically have you produce content. If you go to a model where you essentially have patrons, large patrons in the form of the government and NGOs that basically pay to have these things made, what you're going to end up with is media that caters to the interests of those people. I would much rather have a subscription model where individuals vote with their money than something where my news and what pleases the people who basically is catering to the people that are giving them large chunks of money, whether that's the government or something else. That's my thesis.
like you
But
said,
Harry,
socialism for the news. Yeah.
Yeah.
when you get to the part where, and I'm quoting from this article, policymakers should attach strong conditions and ensure these funds go toward public service journalism rather than padding a for-profit, operation. The assumption in this article is that government should guide journalists, local journalists, and force them to back their diversity and other public spirited, what they think of as public spirited, meaning, ways that they want you to conform to their desires for how they want, ways that they can make you do what they want you to do is what I'm trying to say.
And they want to free the journalists up from producing stuff that people view as valuable. They want to basically make it be one of the benefits of living in a progressive society. But this guy has thought of everything. Serenity, you're back?
Yes, there we go.
Would you mind reading this highlighted paragraph if you can see it?
Yes.
Because this just shows you just what a great thinker this guy is who wrote this article.
Oh, let me do this. StreamYards, you little bitch. All right. While the risk of governmental meddling is always a legitimate concern, too often it becomes a conversation stopper. Fortunately, this is a fixable problem. Structural safeguards, yeah, because those always work, ranging from setting up an independent fund not tied to discretionary spending to developing decisions about resource allocation, so independent and local governing boards can help prevent abuses of power.
Yeah, if you guarantee our funding, that means that we will automatically do the right thing.
But
And don't worry about how we spend the money. We'll handle that locally. Just give us a bunch of money and make sure it's not discretionary. We really, ideally, we'd like this just to be a right. We deserve these jobs.
How do we keep the government from abusing its power? Or is that one?
Well, they're just going to give them money no matter what they print. It's right there, Skep. It's with structural,
safeguards. They're just guarding their safety.
And if you worry that the government is going to meddle in these sort of government-funded news organizations, which they're going to decide based on criteria of correctness, whether they're correct enough, then you're just part of the problem. You're a conversation stopper.
Yeah.
Functional, I feel like you want to say something.
You think she's better than you? Yeah, she's fucking better than you.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
I mean, I wish I had my soundboard open to play it, but I mean, like, it's not just her, and that's the big problem right now. Is that this is all too commonplace within, oh man, I'd say a vast majority of Western media at this point. I mean, look at what happened to, I forget the Australian news version, our version, CBC. CBC is now just a bought and paid for shill for the liberal government here, and it's trash. It was back when I was a kid in like the 80s. It was actual journalism, trusted news, and tail end of the 90s, playing into a lot of American media, we saw that trend sort of shifting to one side, and more money, changed favors, and new people come in. TV Ontario, because we also had provincial broadcasters, so we're doubling up here, people. Public broadcasters, which held on for as long as they could to be legitimate, provincial news. And that's where we got debates, brilliant debates, like the Jordan Peterson thing that catapulted him to a person of note in the media space, where he said, basically defending his position, well, yeah, call you whatever you want, but I'm not just going to be compelled speech. And had the debate with the trans rights activist or trans activist, I don't remember. But that too, because it is a publicly funded option, has fallen into basically just another arm of the seats in power and more propaganda, state-funded media. It's no different than what I see, and that's what really kills me as a Canadian citizen, is because, you know, the stuff I saw before from Russia, what's happening with the media there, and the misinformation is still kind of, some of this, like, that kind of stuff does happen here. No, we're not sending you to the gulag, but it's a harsher and codified in law to be able to silence you and ruin you, and a long-term goal could be to kill you by just basically starving you from all resources.
Well, here's an article from 2015. I had to go back that far, but it's like, I remember you assholes talking about this. They're not saying the quiet part out loud quite as much, but this is another example of what journalists think, and I'm going to be very quick about this one. The right to offend. First, the issue, and this is referring to the Charlie Hebdo thing, is inadequately framed as mainly a legal question of the right to offend, and the main complaint is that the cartoons offend a religious group. Again, Charlie Hebdo. Such discussions are important, but the Hebdo case is much more than that. It is a question of ethics, journalistic duties, tensions within plural societies, and the role of media. I don't know, I thought your job was to bring me the news. Defending without absolute. Second, the right to publish is not absolute. Oh, really? Such a view trivializes legitimate questions about using media to offend deeply held beliefs and to create hostile environments. We can defend offensive speech without absolutes or trivialization.
Hostile environments?
Hostile environments. We need to reframe the debate to avoid absolutes and discuss the social duties of journalists, not just their rights. Overall, the Hebdo debate failed to discuss sufficiently the role of news media in amplifying or reducing the tensions between immigrants, Muslims, and other groups in France and the rest of Europe.
They don't have a role.
These
They
tensions,
just report the news.
enhanced by global media, form the background for the issue of offensive journalism today. We should ask, what sort of journalism are needed in such an era? Is the satire of Charlie Hebdo helpful or harmful? It's irrelevant whether it's helpful or harmful. It's the news, and they have the right to publish it.
Let
This
news
person's article,
decide that.
ethical position, journalism is restrained not by causing offense, but by causing harm to interests. A right to offend is balanced by a duty to mend.
No, it isn't.
This
Fuck you.
is your progressive bullshit worldview, pretty well summarized. I
They can
think.
go to hell. This asshole
Because-
can go to hell.
Yeah, because they're terrified. Think of what these institutions once were. They were insanely powerful, insanely wealthy, and now the ship is sinking. The writing's on the wall. They want government to step in because, you know why? They are the shit that's filtering through the sieve, while the rest of the good stuff is still on top. And people are noticing. People are waking up. That's when we always talk about the free market, Skep. That's the free market at play.
No, we're
and
just
they are
we get rid
terrified
of the
that
free
they're
market.
that they're part that they're part of it. So they need government to step in and be like, "Save us, Daddy Government. We're needed. We're special."
If
Yep.
we restrain
You're
journalism by harms to interest, including the impact on social climates, then we imply that journalists have positive duties to do socially helpful reporting. No, I want
No and no.
accurate reporting.
Yeah.
That's an
That's
activist.
helpful.
That's not a journalist.
I'm not going to read more of this cancer because it's actually starting to make me feel my pulse in my temples. So
Thank you. My IQ's down to about 85 right now.
But it doesn't matter. It happens on the right too.
Yeah,
Hey,
my
remember
brain
this article
wobbling.
here about the ghost of Kiev is the mythical hero Ukraine needs right now? The truth is, they say the truth is the first casualty of war. Here's just a couple comments about the ghost of Kiev. The story of the ghost of Kiev, a heroic Ukrainian MiG-29 Fulcrum fighter pilot who has allegedly racked up an astonishing tally of aerial kills, 6 so far, while defending the capital he loves, has taken hold. The story sounds fanciful in the extreme, that a single Ukrainian pilot, flying a jet that is thoroughly outnumbered and outclassed by the Russian opposition, has conducted daring flights over the capital city in broad daylight, and in the process become an ace in a day, something last known definitely to have been achieved in World War II, stretches the bounds of credibility. But there are people who are arguing that while the odds are very much stacked against this narrative being true, there is the slimmest possibility that something truly extraordinary in the annals of air combat has taken place in the skies over Ukraine. Even if it doesn't include a pilot becoming an ace in a day, just achieving a couple kills under such circumstances would have been a monumental accomplishment for the history books. Gentlemen and ladies, we are looking at purely distilled bullshit here.
Mm-hmm.
The truth doesn't. The truth doesn't matter, as long as what's being said agrees with what we think it should be. Whether
give
it's
this
on the
man
left
money.
or on the right.
This is helpful journalism.
This is helpful journalism because this is the message the Ukrainian people need. They need to believe that Santa Claus is real and the Tooth Fairy is real and that the ghost of Kiev is real. It doesn't matter if he is or isn't,
There is a Santa Claus.
because we can just move the goalpost. You know,
Yes, Vitalia, there is a Santa Claus.
Human beings, women and children's lives are on the line, and this is what I lose hope for humanity. What little tiny hope remained in the shell of a soul I still have has vanished.
the Ukrainians, from what I can tell, have giant swinging balls as it is. I don't think they need us to lie to them.
Exactly.
And there's more bravery. Basically, this sort of narrative, if it's not true, you know, telling them fairy tales because you think it's going to make them fly more confidently to their death against MiG-30, Su-35s and stuff. It kind of trivializes what these people are doing. They know full well that they're outnumbered and outgunned, and they're going up anyway. You don't need to treat them like children.
But it gets them clicks.
Yeah.
How many people were talking about this story? It got the clicks. So somebody or multiple people have gotten the clicks, and they don't care. They're complete. I can't speak, specifically, but like generally, like narcissistic. They just want that attention, and that's what a lot of these memesters or whatever you want to call them, online personalities, what have you, news journalists, they want the clicks.
Well, I found one good thing, and actually, Serenity, are you with me still?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. Well, I know how doggos are. It sounds like I've got the ghost of 100 cats in heat outside my door, so hopefully that's not coming through the microphone. Because they sound undead and horny.
Which is always a bad mixture.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bad combination.
Well,
maybe that's why my cat
was.
Maybe that's why my cat was over here.
So this is in green
She's in
because
heat,
it doesn't suck. I actually really like this paper. So let's talk about this. So the Royal Society actually came out, this is a big deal in Britain. The Royal Society has been around, I think, as long as our country has been around. And it's a big deal in the UK sciences. So the Royal Society, the UK's Academy of Sciences, published a study of online scientific and health misinformation Wednesday, investigating its root causes and brainstorming possible solutions. The scientists concluded that censoring content deemed to be misinformation is often harmful and antithetical to the principles of scientific inquiry. Hallelujah. The report found that online censorship risked pushing misinformation underground and off of major social media platforms where it is less likely to be exposed to countervailing opinions. Censorship also risks removing or suppressing content that may be true or helpful to the evolving scientific understanding of certain concepts.
Let the sun shine in.
This is a big deal. This is not a small fringe organization that made these statements. This article is about the things that they said, and so I'm doing a summary of a summary, so I apologize. This is pretty huge.
And it creates jobs, because then you have to have a plethora of people to fact check the news, and then there's people who fact check those fact check people, and the information gets out there, and hopefully the data itself, when it's not censored, the proper data will come to light using the scientific method, the Socratic method.
Well, they actually go through a lot of the malfunction in the whole COVID story, and I don't know how much I'm allowed to say on any given day on YouTube. This is a very good. This is a very good article, and if you read nothing, if you don't look at any of the links that have been published so far tonight, except for this one, you've picked the right one. This is a very, very good article. What are your thoughts on it, Serenity?
Well, I mean, the article basically says, which has been said for a while, and I have older family members who said the same thing, is like forcing people off public platforms, whether they're journalists or not, doesn't make what they're saying go away. It never does. And it's like, and as I have family members who survived the Holocaust, even though they're getting up there, the thing that they always say is like, the Nazis, the Bolsheviks, everybody existed before there was internet. If you don't think they're going to find a way to make themselves exist off of the internet, you're an idiot.
Yeah,
it's true. And
it's
they
like,
talk about the totalitarian stuff here further on. The key question should be, in this atmosphere, do we really want big tech companies deciding what constitutes a crackpot theory and then censoring information that is currently unpopular with the government? Well, that would be a hard no. And furthermore, again, I can't stress enough how important it is that this is the Royal Institute saying this. This is a very, very important institution within sort of the world. And this is the kind of thing that policymakers will actually take notice of. This isn't just some asshat like me talking on the internet. These people actually kind of are important. Considering the current high state of public anxiety about COVID-19, the consequences of attempts to control misinformation could lay the foundations for a totalitarian state. And functional, you've seen it with, your country too.
Yep.
Considering the results of a recent poll, nearly 48% of Democratic voters think federal and state governments should be able to fine or imprison individuals who publicly question the efficacy of the existing COVID-19 vaccines on social media, television, radio, or in online or digital publications. Only 27% of all voters, including 14% of Republicans and 18% of unaffiliated voters, favor criminal punishment of vaccine critics. Yet, if we look at the actual history of official statements about anything to do with COVID, the proposal that these respondents support would merely ensure that, should government prove wrong about something once again, anyone who talks about it will face fines or imprisonment. And that is the signature of a totalitarian state. Powerful stuff.
Well, I mean, it also helps that a lot of this, the joke of, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, give it 18 months, has also kind of has gained popularity. Like, of people don't write off conspiracy theories like they used to because of COVID. Possibly, maybe. Trying to make it so we don't get hit.
Well, I wouldn't they've pulled RT off the air and Sputnik. I wouldn't pull those off the air. Let the Russian government say whatever stupid thing they want to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to know what stupid thing they said. I have actually, speaking of Skep knows what I'm talking about, the young Dutch woman, what's her name again? Griffiths. She once did a thing where she went over what was being said in Dabiq, which is, I can't remember, ISIS or ISIL's magazine. Yes, they actually have a magazine. So instead of listening to the liars from the State Department talk about, they hate us because of our freedom, you can just read their magazine and find out why they hate us. They're very upfront about it. And if you want to know, well, I don't understand what these people want. No, there's a magazine. It's got color pictures and everything. You can just read it. You can go to the source. I would never want to censor Dabiq. I'm glad that it exists, because now I know why we're never going to come to terms with these people.
With your McDonald's and Ford motor vehicles.
Okay. Anyway, I really like this article. I think it's fantastic. I encourage everybody to read it. I'll try to be less preachy about it. Any final comments before we have a palate cleanser?
Actually, no, Denise O'Leary.
You know her? Yeah, she's
not
Canadian.
like personally, but like I've heard her
in
speak.
the biblical sense, or
no, I've heard her speak.
Oh,
here
okay.
in University of Toronto.
No, this is actually a great article. I was really pleased with it.
No, I'm impressed.
Once you rolled down, I was like, oh, okay.
No, this is great.
Yeah, she talks a lot about the combination of faith and science.
Yep.
And very particular about using the word faith as opposed to religion, because religion is just organized faith. So more broadly speaking, and it's very interesting, cerebral stuff.
She looks like a character.
So
She looks like she'd be fun at a party.
Oh yeah, she looks like she'd be a lot of fun at a party. I would monopolize her at a cocktail
I would
party,
too.
talking to her.
I'd be over there too.
Yeah, we would
looks
have a
like
good
Ellen.
time. So here is a little bit of a palate cleanser. A koi pond mousse cake.
Okay, mad respect for the
Look at this thing.
Yeah.
Holy
Yeah, that
crap.
thing's cool.
Now this is a 14-minute long video. We're not going to sit through all this stuff, but basically, it's make the cake, make all the little shapes with the ring mold. Obviously that's gelatin, food coloring. She actually made the fish out of sugar paste, and then fill
you have
that
to
in.
be a different breed of mammal.
This is
me
beautiful.
To
I don't
be able to do this.
I
It's
think
just
that,
amazing.
fondant
Absolutely
is stupid. It's like, oh, I made a cake that looks like a telephone. No, you're
Right.
dumb. That's
Yeah, right,
terrible.
Exactly.
This is art.
Yeah.
She's
Wow,
either
man.
Japanese or Korean. One of the
I
two.
made cupcakes that look like TARDISes, and you're gonna say that that's dumb? Fuck you.
I'm sorry, I don't like fondant.
I
Yes.
don't like eating it either, but it's fun to play with.
Well, this
It is
this
fun to
is
play
like
with.
a
It's edible Play-Doh.
It
That's
is.
amazing. That
Barely.
really is beautiful.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
That
And then you
is-
put it in the fridge and bring it out, and then you get that.
And then pray.
See, sometimes I think humanity's a mistake, and then I look at something
Yeah.
like that and go, yeah, we're okay.
Humans will take that and just turn it into shit.
Man, that is beautiful.
Yep, it is.
I'd be scared to
Absolutely.
like
oh yeah,
eat it
she's Korean or Japanese, yeah. I gotta
Okay.
figure.
without the creator, taking like the first slice.
All right, we are on the home stretch.
I wanna put it-
The next section, which we will get into, is titled "Celebrities Are Dumb."
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, and or hello.
Okay, so
Oh God, this.
Patricia Arquette basically tweeted that that maybe we should kick Russia out of NATO. And
She says she doesn't care though.
What?
yeah, needless to say, Russia is not actually in NATO, but she's decided that, so she got called out on all this sort of stuff. Responded to the trolling she's received after making an error about NATO. I mean, just a small error about
Yeah,
the
small.
existential, the raison d'etre of NATO, which is to stop the Russians. But let's just assume that Russia's part of NATO. The Oscar and Emmy Award-winning actor was tweeting about the Russia-Ukraine war when she shared the post, "Kick Russia out of NATO." Many proceeded to point out that Russia is not a part of NATO. Others jumped to Arquette's defense. Why? She's not going to sleep with you. What are you
Yeah.
doing?
You don't want her
With
to,
journalist
catch
Jim
some-
Swift writing, imagine being Patricia Arquette and not looking at your phone for like an hour and coming back to this.
Stan, she is not going to look at you.
Arquette herself addressed the trolling and replied, "I really couldn't give two shits. I'm dyslexic. I'm at UN. They can
Okay.
cafefe themselves."
Okay.
First of all,
They're on the Security
that's not how
Council. How's
dyslexic
that
works.
going to happen?
No, but dyslexic
veto
doesn't get
anything.
you from NATO to UN.
Yeah. I have
Dyslexic gets you to
so-
OTAN, which is a thing they actually use.
Yes.
The opposite of NATO is OTAN, which is still NATO.
Yes.
I have dyslexia, and I'll go, okay, it's not NATO. What is it? That is the most my dyslexia will kick in, where I know it's not NATO, or I know it's not the UN. I forget what the other one is. That's about the extent of my dyslexia does. That's bullshit.
She doesn't know what dyslexia is,
Oh, yeah.
Serenity. She has no idea. In fact, she couldn't spell dyslexic for $100 million. She couldn't spell it correctly.
But
I
she's a little
guarantee.
diva, so she doesn't have to care about
Exactly.
this thing.
Well, I was about to say, there's
Shields
probably
up,
her
Kipton.
assistant who wrote the rebuttal.
She went to her lawyer. I fucked up. Well, just tell me you meant the UN. You're an asshole. They'll believe that. They'll believe
Yeah.
you're that stupid.
But,
Skep, shields up.
But in terms of celebrities being dumb, right?
Yeah.
I was searching for this and I found a thing from Anthony Hopkins which made my heart kind of really happy. So Anthony Hopkins, amazing actor, was being interviewed by Brad Pitt. And Hopkins said, people ask me questions about present situations in life, and I say, I don't know, I'm just an actor. I don't have any opinions. Actors are pretty stupid. My opinion is not worth anything. There is no controversy for me, so don't engage me in it because I'm not going to participate.
Another reason to adore this talented genius.
Yeah, that's fucking great.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's saying this to Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just outstanding. I mean, thank you, Anthony Hopkins.
And by the way, if you have never seen the
Sure.
movie Meet Joe Black, that's one of my hidden gems. It didn't get a lot of publicity, but it's a sweet, wonderful movie, and it has a scene at the end that makes sitting through the whole movie worthwhile. It's so
Great film.
electrifying. It's an electrifying screwing of a bad guy that is just so beautifully managed that you have to see the movie to understand the context. It really is well done, very wonderful.
And well crafted too. I mean, masterful acting, not only from those two, but the supporting cast.
Oh,
The camera work,
girl,
the sound
yeah,
is
yeah.
just well. It's
Yeah.
such a great film.
So
It
Czech
really
is in the Czech is in the chat, and he's busy saying Otan wouldn't even be dyslexic. Okay, I'm sorry, I
Right.
was destroyed. My sense of taste was destroyed by Monty Python. All I can think of when somebody talks about dyslexia is the anagram of Bolton is not Lop.
Actually, it depends on the type of dyslexia you have. There are people who will it will look like Otan. I have a very
It's an
specific one
anagram.
that's weird. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Sorry.
dyslexia just sometimes it reverses, sometimes it just
Yeah.
puts the letters in different places. Sometimes it only
Monty
acts on numbers.
Monty Python exposure may result in lifelong spontaneous laughter that
There you
nobody
go.
else understands.
Yeah, and sharing of obscure quotes with fellow sufferers.
But sorry, go ahead real quickly, and then I'm going to move on to making fun of Nathan.
Okay, I was
Fillion.
just gonna say it's kind of amazing though that in the world we live in, that when someone simply basically boiling it down to I don't know is applauded and lauded as a voice of reason. It's okay to say I don't know.
Well, it's okay to say not only do I not know, but why the hell are you asking me? I
Yeah.
pretend for a living. What is wrong with you? Why do you
Ask-
think I would even know about these things?
For actors, celebrities, yeah. I was speaking more broadly, but you're definitely right. Like a lot of these people don't have time to even read the news. So
Okay, we all like
why even
Firefly,
ask
right?
them?
We all
Yeah.
like
Yes,
Firefly.
we
Everybody
loved it.
likes Firefly. It
I
was a
wish
great
they'd
series.
reboot it.
I like Nathan Fillion. I think he's a perfect actor for that thing. Now, Nathan Fillion is not a smart man, and occasionally he opens his mouth. This is something that he did a few years ago.
Which one is it? Oh yeah, the freaking solar roadways, that dumb
I
crap.
see the future, and it is solar freaking roadways.
Okay.
Panels in our streets with sensors that can know if someone's crossing the street ahead of you. With lights, so it lights up. It says
That
careful.
sounds
There's an
great.
animal. There's a
It'll
kid.
work
There's a
on magic.
pedestrian. Parking
run
lots
on
that can
magic.
change their lines. Because that's awesome.
Okay, just sit there. What was it you said, Serenity, when we talked about this a long time ago? Didn't you say just shut up and be pretty? Was that what you said? Or was that somebody else I was talking to?
Well, I said shut up and sing. About
Okay,
a singer.
but that was not the conversation I had. I had a conversation with some female of the species.
It was either Serenity or
I think
Sora,
it was
'cause I think-
Serenity, and I think you said just sit there and be quiet
Shut
and
up and
be
be
pretty.
pretty.
I
Shut
think
up and
both
be
of
pretty.
Sora and I have both said shut up and look pretty.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think both of us have said that on different occasions more than once. It's like I like Nathan Fillion. Anybody who has even the passing brain in science knows that solar roadways wouldn't work, but that's neither here nor there. It's like I don't care.
Well,
You
Yeah.
played pretend. I don't
So
give a shit.
You have to, even though I applaud what Anthony Hopkins just said, I
Yeah.
still separate the art from the artist.
Yep.
As best I can in anything I try to consume. There's very few figures where I just cannot get past it. The big guy with the beard in Stranger Things, who
Oh,
came
I know
out
who
and
you're
said,
talking about.
"Fuck Donald Trump, fuck Donald Trump," at the award ceremony, whatever. I'm like, this
Yeah.
guy's just a complete dickweed, and he's not even that great of an actor, so I can't even look at him on screen.
Yeah.
He only ever plays big bully type brutes.
Yeah, because that's all he can.
Well, you may be wondering why I'm bringing up something from a few years ago, and there is a reason why I'm doing it.
Out of
Aside
time.
from the fact that actors are dumb, we'll also have the link to this fine video from 2014 for EEV blog. He does great videos, by the way, if you're interested in anything involving electronic stuff. He basically dissects all the different reasons why these things are bad. And Thunderfoot did it too, but Thunderfoot's a dick, and I'm not going to provide a link to Thunderfoot just because I'm petty that way. So he lays out the whole argument for why solar roadways are stupid, but one of the major ones is even if everything worked perfectly, even if it was durable, and it didn't have problems with people stopping, because everybody loves stopping on glass. Glass is totally the surface you want your car trying to stop on when it's like a little bit wet.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
Frosty.
If you look at, there's an optimal angle for solar panels. So this is for Arizona, for like Phoenix, Arizona. And you ideally want your solar panel tilted at about, 32, 33 degrees. 32 degrees is the optimal tilt, not 0 degrees. 0 degrees is the wrong thing. And as you get further and further north, this becomes more and more important. So unless you're basically paving the equator, you could take those same solar panels and just provide like a shade structure by the side of the road, and you would get a much better return for your money. And this is just one thing, because why make the roadway out of solar panels when you could just make like a canopy for the roadway out of solar panels, or put solar panels by the side of the road that would be much more efficient? You get a lot less power. So for instance, at 0, if these were in Arizona, we'd fall into this thing here. You'd only be getting like 80% as much power as
the pavement has to be solar. The pavement has to be solar, Harry.
Yeah, just
solar gravel.
Just grade the road, right, Skep? We just grade all the roads so that they always tilt to 31 degrees toward the south.
Think of it as a public works project.
You just have to go fast enough that you glue yourself like it's in Indy when you're going along like the corners, so you have to get up high. You got to do 100 something to not slide off the road, but then you get to a traffic light and all the cars just go and slide down to the shoulder. Okay, I'm amusing myself. Sorry.
No, I'm with you. I was right with you. I like that
so
idea.
solar roadways are stupid. Stars are stupid. And this bullshit, you think, oh, is this dead? No, it's not dead. I'm talking about it because it's still going on. These assholes just raised another $2,500,000. Now, we've known that this is bullshit for a long time, but last May, they ended up raising $2,500,000. Now, you might think, I don't care if this only comes from stupid people on crowdfunding things. This isn't Indiegogo. This is actually this thing called Start Engine, where you're essentially investing in this company, and they're pitching the same shitty video that they made, the same 6-minute video that they made back in 2014 is the one that they're doing here. They're not even producing new bullshit. It's the same bullshit, 7 years later, 8 years later, 7 years later, and they're still getting money from people. Solar Roadways is the first company
we gotta build back better
to develop solar road panels, which opens up a brand new market for the solar industry. All walking and driving surfaces. Solar road panels are intelligent, modular, strong. It's infrastructure panels that have solar cells to produce green energy. Wankety, wankety, wankety. Okay,
Well,
this is
the
all
thing is,
bullshit.
The solar panels are made by Solyndra, so they're good.
Okay. Reasons to invest. Solar Roadways broke a Start Engine record with their initial campaign. We were fully funded in less than 22 hours.
We got money, so give us more money.
Your ability to bamboozle people quickly is not a reason to invest. Solar Roadways have engineered intelligent infrastructure combined with clean energy generation. Just shut up. Just shut up. Shut up.
You haven't done any of that. Yeah.
The research and development for Solar Roadways was funded by 3 successfully completed U.S. Department of Transportation contracts. And in October 2020, Solar Roadways was selected to receive another contract by the U.S. Department of Defense, sponsored by the Air Force Research Laboratory.
What?
For shame on the Air Force Research Laboratory.
What?
Taxpayer money went to fund this obvious bullshit. Since we launched on Start Engine, we've also been granted a second contract with the U.S. Department of Defense. This one is an SBIR contract sponsored by the AFRL. Now, Skep, I know you're going to love this. This might actually be your undoing, but you're going to die with a smile on your face.
I'm in pain.
We've been awarded our 4th government contract, this time with the DoD through the Air Research. Excited to offer green intelligent solar road panels for the military. So here's a picture of an aircraft carrier
Yeah.
paved with solar roadway panels.
No. No. Wait a minute. Let me see this. I'm
This is the
trying to
dumbest
see.
idea.
75. That's the Teddy Roosevelt. The Teddy Roosevelt. My best friend from high school was a captain stationed aboard the TR. Actually, he was a commander at the time. No, it's not paved with that nonsense.
How much?
I guarantee you.
So what is it paved with, Skep?
Non-skid. It's
and what's
non-skid
underneath the non-skid?
Steel.
Yeah, and why would you want it to be steel with non-skid on top?
So the planes don't slide off, and so they don't break the
600
ship.
Fighter jets don't go flying through the material.
Jeez.
So,
Does it
in
hold?
your opinion, would tempered glass be a suitable surface upon which to land an airplane?
Yes, of course, it's much better than non-skid and steel, which we've been using since World War II. That's when non-skid was invented. This is so dumb. This is hurting me.
No,
And
there's another layer of dumb, which I think we're all missing. Of all the places in the world that need solar power, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier is not one of them.
I was going to say that, and I thought, no, we're running long. I'm not going to bring
We're
that
not
up.
running long. We're actually running just fine.
Okay, well then, yes. Why would an aircraft carrier, and the TR has not one, but 2 nuclear reactors on board? 2 nuclear reactors on board. Why would it need to have solar-powered anything?
Yeah, what is the purpose of carrying all this useless, fragile, slippery weight?
Yes.
On a thing that is powered by nuclear power. Clean, efficient, reliable nuclear power. And just think about it, as you take your aircraft carrier and go to more northern latitudes, your power would drop. If your ship was literally powered by these things, you'd get slower
Harry.
and slower as you get further north.
Harry, do you know you can be out at sea in the middle of the day and have the clouds, it's so dark that it really does reduce the
Just stop.
Available light substantially to where you have to make tactical adjustments for that.
Yeah. Hey, I use my washer, my electric washer and my electric dryer when the sun's out because it makes better use of my solar panels. I totally get it. So this is
Great.
just
So the Air
dumb.
Force can use their solar panels to do their laundry.
No, this is just incredibly stupid. I mean, the theme is bullshit. The world is full of bullshit. Solar freaking roadways are bullshit. And it doesn't matter whether it's just this one specific thing. In this day and age, there's no reason for a research laboratory associated with the Air Force to give money to such obvious charlatans, unless they're literally being handed money and they're bending over backwards trying to find ways to spend it in ways that make Jen Psaki happy. The only reason that I can see them doing this, there's only 2 explanations. One, they had all this money and they had to spend it on something green, so they just figured, what the hell? Or 2, they're too stupid to know what they're spending money on.
Harry,
I'm not sure which of these offends me more.
Harry, we've got to take advantage of the fact that the moon is tidally locked to the Earth. And so when the Earth goes around, when it rotates one time, the moon always stays in the same place. That's why the moon is always in the same place in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And so we can build a ladder there, and we should build it out of maple hardwood. That makes as much sense as this.
Yeah.
Well,
Maple.
There's also the bigger thing of, if they have all those government contracts, why are they crowdfunding?
Well, because they're paying salaries to people.
Yeah.
And eventually you run out of money, and so they just need to get more money.
Well, then shouldn't they be producing a product so this way they could make more money instead of just
Maybe-
asking for more and more money?
Oh, they
Well-
are producing a product. They're producing bullshit, and that's how they get their money.
They're producing grade
That's
A
their real
government approved
business.
bullshit. It's buzzword
Yeah.
compliant bullshit.
Yes.
So whether it's
No spec.
bullshit fake journalism that's sponsored by the government with a progressive agenda, or whether it's bullshit fake green energy stuff, there's a bunch of bullshit to pick from. There's, I was looking at recycling, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that we recycle that we don't actually recycle, and it actually uses more energy to recycle it than it does just to make new stuff. Based on the assumption that we're going to, because somebody a long time ago did this calculation that we're going to run out of landfill space. We are nowhere near running out of landfill space. We are actually doing things with recycling which are hurting the planet more than if we just threw the stuff away.
Well, there's
But
also
that's not something we're supposed to talk about because the bullshit filter's in place.
Well, there's also one of their other selling points is that it melts snow and cuts greenhouse gases by 75%. But if it produces enough residual heat, whatever, especially to melt snow in forms in much larger things, that puts out heat, which can add not necessarily to greenhouse gases, but can add to the heat of the local environment, which can cause problems unto itself. Like this is like the recycling thing. This is not actually useful. Also,
No.
that ship that they showed was them making a graphic, and they admitted to it in their Twitter feed.
Yeah. No. Well, the point of the heat thing is they wanted to basically put disco lights in it and have it be remove the snow. The thing doesn't generate enough power to remove the snow.
Yeah,
You essentially have to grid tie it and then put these big heating elements in, because you could just push the snow out of the way normally, but instead you don't want to have a snowplow grinding across the top of your glass.
Well, there's also the fact that doesn't the heating element, if it's inside of it, wear down the solar panels faster? Because that's part of the issue with solar panels is if they get too hot and they stay too hot and it slowly starts to break down everything.
That is probably a valid point. I mean, you might be able to engineer around it, but probably not.
And it's like, it's just, I mean, I absolutely agree. It's absolute bullshit, but it's just like, I don't know. The fact that there's so many people who have bought into this bull.
That's Serenity is right on the money. I think that's the thing that I can't get past is how many people have been taken in by this.
There is a solar roadways installation that this same company put in, which is essentially like pavement in front of a library in Utah, I think.
Yeah.
And I've seen pictures of it, and you can actually, it used to be you could go online and you could look at the amount of power this thing generated. Over the course of a month, this thing that cost over $1 million to install produces about the same amount of power as my solar panels can produce in an hour on a sunny day.
Well, because it's
So
also
for a small fraction of the money of the solar freaking roadway, I could produce the same amount of power in a single hour.
well, it's like also the fact that solar panels need to be cleaned for them to be working optimal. You don't want it as a road or a parking lot.
There's so many things wrong with this.
Yeah, it's
No,
like
But it still goes back to the point that you made. How many people don't have enough basic knowledge about how the world works to know that this is errant nonsense?
I think
That's what blows me away.
The news isn't going to call them out on it because it would be socially wrong to say something that made people lose faith in green energy. Therefore, we can't
create a
cover this
hostile
story.
environment. Yeah, it could be a hostile environment.
It doesn't matter if it's bullshit. It doesn't
News
matter if
outlets
it's
have
right
a
or wrong,
duty.
Skep. All that matters
Duty.
is that you have this duty to society to create a
to
public
make
good.
liberals comfortable. Right.
And sorry, that was kind of a big arc that I kind of put together there, and maybe not as eloquently. Maybe it wasn't as elegant as it could have been, but it satisfied
it.
the mission brief.
Yeah.
We started with bullshit in the form of me getting a sandwich from Denny's that was not fit for human consumption, and certainly not worth the $20-something it costs to have it delivered to my door. And we end with people trying to put solar panels on aircraft carriers because that's a thing, I guess.
and over 50,000 people have given. So over
Idiots.
50,000 people are dumb.
And
But it makes them feel good about themselves, and that's what's important.
And you
Oh,
also proved definitively that Nathan Fillion is a fine actor.
He is a fine actor, but he really needs to leave the engineering to
Engineers.
even on his show, he let Kaylee do it. So it's not. This is not.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're just the captain. Just keep your sidearm holstered and until the appropriate time comes, and tell the guy who actually flies the ship to go in the right direction. That's all you got to do, man.
Yeah.
That's all you got to do.
I
Anyway, we
I
are
love
done.
the attitude on that show. Anyway,
We are done. Does anybody have anything else they want to say?
Food.
Food?
You're gonna
If you could
research
order, you could order from the Meltdown.
For
God.
anybody who prays for people, pray for the people of Ukraine. That's a bad scene right now.
Yeah.
And if you're going to research anything, don't use Google, use Bing or something else. Because Bing's actually pretty good.
Yeah,
But
I
please,
use
for the
Bing.
love of God, before you give anyone or anything your money, either look up a map if you're going to get food from somewhere, like Harry,
Yeah.
and make sure it's not a Denny's in disguise.
Or Red
and-
Robin or whatever. If you want Red Robin, order from Red Robin. If you
Yeah.
want Denny's, get your ass up and go to Denny's.
The
Yep.
problem with ordering from Red Robin, as opposed to going into Red Robin, is you can't get the endless basket of fries.
He does have a fair point there.
Yeah. That does
Those
seem like
fries
a
are
flaw.
good.
Wait. Tell me more of this Red Robin. I am intrigued.
It's essentially like a slightly upscale Denny's,
Mm-hmm.
and caters to family type dining, and they produce pretty good burgers. You know, kind of bar food type fare.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
they have this thing called the endless basket of fries. They will bring you as many
Yes.
French fries as you care, and their French fries are really quite good.
Yes, they are.
Although just nobody needs that many fries. The people you see getting their fifth helping of fries probably don't need that fifth helping of fries.
That's
but,
why they invented stretch pants, Skep.
yeah.
Anyway,
that was a
Good
thing.
night, folks.
Sounds like we're done. Good night, everybody. Zeus
Good night,
closed.
everybody.